Hey, what's up there, guys? As I'm back here again with another edition of fourth edition of Shooting from the Hip. This one is is going to be about the video game industry, and yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be around to see the whole thing from the Atari to the Nintendo, all the way until we got the modern little things that could probably rival the Enterprise in their abilities to you watch TV and surf the internet and everything else on them. I'm surprised you couldn't order Chinese food on the things now, which, hey, there it was. I'm so old school, as you can tell by this toque I just got that's a Aussie. That the only thing I use my Xbox for mainly is for my YouTube app on there, so I can watch old concerts that that I wasn't even alive for. Like coming home on a Saturday night and watching a 2-hour concert at Grand Funk Railroad. That's my idea of entertainment. But anyways, getting back to the the video game industry, like I said, I mean, I remember back when had the Atari and everything, and how that progressed with the very difficult things, very simplistic games, but you could make a whole crap load of them. The cartridge systems, lasted for a long time until finally the PlayStation came out with the discs and everything, and but my favorites, obviously, I love I was a big customer of Nintendo for the longest time. My first game, obviously, was Mario Brothers and Zelda. I remember one of my sister's older friends, I think I drove her nuts trying to help me defeat The Legends of Zelda, the original game, for the first time. And I think theme songs in games are also essential, because I can sit here and I've got the code, I could almost tell you word for word and note for note the Legends of Zelda game, because I played it so many times, and especially when Mario would go into the subspace, down in the sewers, all that stuff, all those classic games. Right when you hear the notes, you automatically know what game it is. A lot of that is lost in today's stuff. But I loved all the Mario games. I was a big Nintendo guy. You used to get like a free game and you got both controllers. I remember one Christmas when I finally got my Nintendo 64, the Donkey Kong version. I remember I opened it up and my dad was so surprised, because this was the first time that, number one, it just gave me one controller, and number two, it didn't come with a Donkey Kong game, which kind of sucked. So it was like, and you could tell then that the whole industry had gone to, got to take everything away, and you've got to do all these different things, and all the stuff that they used to give you free, the perks, now you've got to pay extra for, because you're gonna get the kid a game console, and then now he's gonna sit here and he's not gonna have a game to play, and then he can't play a game with his friend because he doesn't have another controller. So that kind of sucked. But I loved those games, and Nintendo 64. You had Donkey Kong. All the Mortal Kombats, the Killer Instinct games. My cousin was a big Sega and a Sega Genesis fan. All through there. I remember the Genie. You remember you put the Genie in there, the cartridge thing, and we even had that for the Super NES systems. Where you could get there was still, even then, there was the cheat codes and everything that was going down. I still had, there was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade game was one of the best games. I remember the first game was kind of nerve-wracking, and the graphics weren't as well, but it was an okay game. And eventually I will give a deal on here where I will review individual games as we go along, but I'm just naming them right now. But I think the best Ninja Turtle game by far was the second one. The arcade style game where you go through and you've got Bebop and Rocksteady and all these different things. These were the best ones. And then, of course, you got Ninja Gaiden. That was an awesome game. Double Dragon, you know, both of them, especially the ones with the helicopter and everything, where you're diving out of the helicopter and you're fighting all these guys. That was an arcade-style game. That was cool. And, you know, and there's lots of wrestling games. And I know nowadays there's lots of these 2K Sports and everything. And Thick going out of business. I knew I could have told you Thick was going to go out of business years ago when AKI left. I mean, I tell you, as far as wrestling video games go, you know, every year they come out with a WWE 2K15, 2K14, and they got an Undertaker package one. Now they got a Sting package. Last year they had an Ultimate Warrior, Lord rest his soul, package. And all this stuff is all well and great, but they got all these game modes, you know, Attitude Era, 30 years of WrestleMania, all these great things for wrestling games. But I'll tell you guys, for your money's worth, you know, save your money. Go back, the best wrestling games by far, WCW versus the NWO Revenge Tour. Nintendo 64 had great games, great grappling techniques. Had all the different rings. Even had the NWO rings. Had all the you know, even had the global rings. Had all these different characters you could make your own, and of course there was the unlocking feature later on that WCW came out with, the WCW Mayhem video game that I thought was really great. Where you could unlock the Nature Boy and, you know, Goldberg and different versions of Sting and all these different things. Those two, by far, and I think an early one, the early WWF games, which of course now they're the WWE, was really bad. They were really hard to control, and you had to hit all these different combinations. And that was the one thing that, when Thick had teamed with AKI, a Japanese company, that they put out WCW Revenge Tour and the WCW Mayhem games. Those games were awesome. Easily to control, great to hit the combos with and do all the different game styles and all these things. At the WWF at the time, they were kicking the WCW on television, but the one thing that WCW did really well was the WWF at the time was still with these other guys that had sucky video games, and WCW signed with Thick and AKI, which after AKI left and Thick was still there, everything sucked after that because Thick. And if you'll look at all the games that Thick even produced until Thick finally went bankrupt, and now they, you know, their assets were purchased by, 2K Sports, it's not gotten any better. The best WWF game, other than the Super NES arcade style game that they had for a while there back in the day, best WWF game was. Let's see. God, it's hard. They had some bad ones. Let's see. I'm thinking Retribution. It was right after SmackDown debuted back in 1999. And, Reckoning. That's what it was. And that was a good game. Other than that, and I think they said they had a few, for the while there, they did the SmackDown versus Raw every year for Thick. And they weren't very good. But like I said, those were the last that they really had. You know, I also was a big fan of, and yeah, I actually collected Friday the 13th, the video game. Yes, there was one. There was also a Nightmare on Elm Street video game that I got. That one was also Super NES. And there is an Arachnophobia. You know, the movie Arachnophobia? I'm actually a dork, and I actually collected the Arachnophobia video game. I've got it, and it's awesome. But I was a big Resident Evil fan. I remember staying up late at night waiting for a stormy night just for the heck of it so that I could scare the crap out of myself and have those big monster spiders and crap like jump out for me. And those were great. The movies... I'll get into that when I review the movies later on here, not too long from now. But you know, they were okay. Then there was Dreamcast comes along, and then Dreamcast also kind of did a few. They kind of redid a few things with Dreamcast regarding Resident Evil, and they also did The Legends of Zelda 2, which I did like The Legends of Zelda when it came back out. It's hard to do as good as the original Legends of Zelda game. The second Legends of Zelda game, you know, where they had just Link, was okay. It wasn't as well. But the rest of them, when they came back out with the whole Dreamcast, and the other ones was doing pretty good. And I also got the, let's see, I've got all kinds of the different video games. I love video games. The new ones I'm a little off on because I'm really good at NCAA, the football games. I'm just getting into some of these other new things. Thank God I've got a niece and nephew that love an old man and will teach me the new ways. I don't have a Wii. I have an Xbox 360. So forgive me. But sometimes it works to your advantage to have old and antiquated technology, because having the Xbox 360 and not the new Xbox One, I was able to use the Windows Media to listen to my podcasts via my Xbox 360. And I noticed that on the new PlayStation 4s and the new Xboxes, you are no longer able to share media due to piracy laws, which I think suck. But anyways, so sometimes us old dogs can be completely out of date and have inadequate and antiquated technology and come out on top from the situation. So now I can turn on my Xbox, watch an old concert, and also listen to all of my favorite podcasts. So, and you can't do that on the new systems. So I just want to let you guys know they've took that out. So anyways, if you guys would like to talk about video games, I'm not just going to be talking about books on here. Also going to have video games and more movie reviews and stuff. Be sure to hit me up on here. Message me. There's Facebook, Chris Merrill, at Twitter, capital DM _Thorkin, or like I said, just message me here. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, because I'm old school, learning some stuff, and let me know about it, and we'll see what we can do about it, because there's lots of new cool things coming out. Remember, A Mistborn Birthright's coming out pretty soon. So keep on gaming, guys. It's looking pretty good.